My name is Chris Scarf, and I've been asked to be the MC for tonight. And it's my great privilege to welcome you to the University of Sydney and the university's Australian Lebanese Foundation dinner. Tonight is a special night for us because of the presenting of the scholarships, and also because we are very fortunate to have some very distinguished guests among us. And if I could bring to your attention, as you're aware, we have the Honourable Barry O'Farrell, Premier of New South Wales. Welcome, sir. Dr. John Daniel and Mrs. Daniel, Ambassador for Lebanon in Australia. His Excellency, Mr. George Bitar Ghanem, Consul General. The Honourable Thomas George, MP, Deputy Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. And three very distinguished guests from Lebanon. Mrs. Betty Hindi, the founder of the World House of Lebanon, of literature of which she will speak with us tonight, but she's also distributed some literature at the tables. His Excellency Ziad Baroud, the former Lebanese Minister for Interior and Municipalities. And a very dear friend of the Foundation, Marcel Ghanem. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the dinner is a great event, and we've been very generously assisted by a number of sponsors, and I'd like to bring them to your attention. The Arab Bank of Australia is the platinum sponsor for tonight, and we're very grateful to the Arab Bank for their strong support. The World House of Lebanon is also an event sponsor, and we're grateful also to other sponsors: Orient Travel, Akar Halal Meats, Cambridge Group, Mazdan Haddad, MN Partners, Paramonte Legal, and the Zuki Group of Companies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to invite Professor Fadia Ghassain to come, the President of the Australian Lebanese Foundation, to address you.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm honored to welcome you again tonight, and I'm delighted that we have with us the Honorable Premier, Mr. Barry O'Farrell, His Excellency Dr. John Daniel, Lebanese Ambassador, His Excellency George Bitar on his way, Mr. Consul George Bitar, and his mother, George. Consul General for Lebanon. Dr. Michael Spence, Vice Chancellor of the University of Sydney, Mr. Marcel Ghanem, Mr. Ziad Baroud, and Mrs. Betty Hindi coming from Lebanon. Dear friends, allow me to tell you that this foundation is like a bridge for both the Australian Lebanese community and the University of Sydney community. We are proud that this foundation is unique in this university, maintaining a community link to the best of higher education, which is so important to many people in Australian Lebanese community. That's why I really thank everyone here tonight for your support, which enables the foundation to be as successful as it is. The foundation's work extends beyond our scholarship program. We are active in supporting and instigating academic and cultural activities, striving to bring benefits to the Australian Lebanese community without regard to religious background. These tasks are not easy, and we are doing our best to expand our range of activities to help our community to better understand its problems and achievements. We are looking forward to a new and exciting project very soon with Dr. Eli Matar. I would like to congratulate the students who last year formed YALA, not Yalla, YALA. YALA is the Young Australian Lebanese Association here at Sydney University. And there are many among us tonight. They have taken their first steps in the Young Association's development and growth. With typical Lebanese enterprise and imagination, past scholarship recipients were the initiators of YALA and are helping students of Lebanese heritage feel at home in this great university. Finally, I would like to thank Ziad Baroud for accepting our invitation to come to Australia. Ziad is the youngest person to have been appointed as a minister in Lebanon. He was able to achieve a great deal under very tough conditions. And thank you for our famous star, Marcel Ghanem, who likes Australia very much and who has worked very hard to be here tonight. Thank you also to Betty Hindi, President of World House of Lebanon. Dear friends, kind supporters, and generous sponsors, you are all very welcome, and I wish you an enjoyable evening. Thank you. And now, I would like to introduce you to Betty Hindi. Following her graduation, Betty chose migration as a title for her thesis, Brain Gain versus Brain Drain, and she followed this path within different academic and political areas. In 2009, Betty founded and headed World House of Lebanon that seeks to address migrant issues and that organizes a series of activities in the field, the last of which was the campaign entitled Our Voice, Our Nation, to entrench the right to vote for Lebanese in their host countries. So I have pleasure in handing over to Betty now. Please, Betty.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, dear friends, each time I stand amongst Lebanese immigrants in a hosting country, a mixture of contradictory feelings invades me, a mixture of pride, jealousy, regret, and desolation. I stand proud of you and your achievement at all levels, but I feel jealous and regretful because I ask myself, couldn't you all succeed and grow in Lebanon? Doesn't this small country have the right to see its sons grow and prosper with them? Isn't it regretful that the number of the Lebanese residing in 4 corners of the world are at least 4 times those who reside in it? I do not mean at all to diminish the very important role of your hosting countries, namely not Australia, the first opened its door for Lebanese. Still, like many of my compatriots, I dream of a country that gathers us all, protects us all, and embraces us all. Dear friends, I know that you have enough with those who come to you asking for help and support for Lebanon and your people there. However, here I am again, standing here with trust and confidence, reiterating the same request. Lebanon needs your help. It's looking at its sons residing there and see them drowning in the swamp of political, sectarian, and even economic and social divides. Here it is, witnessing its sons walking fast towards enrolling in the wars of others on their lands. as if they have not learned enough from the war that shattered ours and was behind the presence of many of you here. Again, Lebanon is calling for your help. It's calling upon its people to stay away from war, breathe back the life into its economy, restore harmony to its society, and hope to its future. Lebanon is looking at you, relying on your autonomy and your love that prompts you to pass its interest before any others. Thus, World House of Lebanon launched the campaign, Our Voice, Our Nation, with the aim of including migrants in the coming legislative elections from now on. A petition signing campaign was launched to entrench this right of migrants, and we gathered the signature of 82 Lebanese MPs till date. We will go on following up on them so they respect their signature and implement on the ground these basic rights of yours. Your voice is the real door for your efficient participation to the national and political life. It is with you that the change can start. You have learned in your new country the meaning of the real citizenship. You live in a country where no weapons other than the state weapons exist. You are the sons of freedom, working for knowledge and experience. You aspire for security and safety in your mother country under a real democracy. You, the moderate and open ones, you are the ones Lebanon is relying on today. Lebanon relied on you in politics to support moderation. It relies on you in economics and assumes that you have priority in any investment there. Lebanon counts on you to reunite the country and consecrate coexistence. The Lebanon is counting on the moderate Sunni, the moderate Christian, the moderate Shia. So they unite under a collective Lebanese identity. Let us all meet under the ceiling of Abda Declaration. Let us all raise the flag of Lebanon under the one and only weapon allowed, that of the Lebanese army. Let us form a united nucleus from Australia and spread it to all the hosting countries. Let us collaborate to restore a 10,045.52 square kilometer Lebanon where it is a pleasure to live within our beloved borders. Do not hesitate. Stand by your country. It may be 100 times or 1,000 times that I say this. So what? Let it be the millionth time. Lebanon deserves from us all some sacrifice and love. Allow me, please, here to thank all those who contributed to have World House of Lebanon among you today. Thanks. Thanks to the Army Command for the importance it gives to the migrant role in supporting a free, sovereign, and independent Lebanon. Thanks to BankMed that is represented here today by Mr. Joseph Shidia for their trust in migrants. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, the Lebanese Chamber of Commerce, as well the Australian one. Thanks to the Australian Lebanese Foundation and the giant efforts paid by Mrs. Fadia Boudegher. I conclude by reflecting what my heart is telling me. A warm gratitude to the special, for me at least, a unique, charismatic host journalist. You can agree or disagree, but you cannot but respecting him. And you cannot, like personally, I'm in love with him, Mr. Marcel Ghanem. Also to a minister who was born to serve a nation, His Excellency Mr. Ziad Baroud. A thank to my colleague Denise Atallah. You are not a professional, objective journalist. You are a sister. عشتم. عاش لبنان. عاش الاغتراب اللبناني. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hindi. It was an inspiring speech, and one sees the passion, and those who know Lebanon know the reasoning behind. It is now my great privilege to invite the Premier of New South Wales, the Honourable Barry O'Farrell, to address us. Mr. O'Farrell is a friend of Lebanon, having visited on many occasions, and we welcome him here tonight.
Can I acknowledge first and foremost the Vice-Chancellor, whose premises we're on this evening. Can I also recognise the Ambassador and his wife, the hardest working Ambassador's wife in Canberra, the Consul General. Can I acknowledge the Deputy Police Commissioner, my parliamentary colleagues. But importantly, can I recognise our visitors from Lebanon, Ziad Baroud, Marcel Ghanam and Betty Hindi. Some of us walked in towards the end to the music of 1492, the conquest of paradise. And I thought it was very appropriate, given that the Lebanese have settled the world. And in the words of the Arab poet Hafez Ibrahim, he said of the Lebanese that they sought the springs of the world. And if they'd been in the Milky Ways, there too they would have ridden up to. Well, the Lebanese to come here didn't have to go to the Milky Way, they simply came via the Southern Cross. And what's magnificent is that those great cedars of Lebanon that I've had the privilege of seeing took hold in this country, and they've added to the stability, to the strength and to the success of this city, this state and this nation in so many ways. So I look at Professor Ghassain, who in academia demonstrates the success of Lebanese Australians. I look across business, I look across sport, I look across every field that exists in this country, and there I see Lebanese Australians. And it's fantastic, and I understand, Mrs. Hindi, that that is of some regret to those who live in the Lebanon. But can I say that I know from my friends who live here, whose heritage is Lebanese, that Lebanon is never far from their thought. I remember my first visit to Lebanon in 1996, visiting a village that's well known to Anthony Sakari, who's here. And I kid you not, I thought that I'd walked into Thornlea in New South Wales. There were so many Australians there. I was explaining to His Excellency Mr. Baroud that a visiting Lebanese politician told me of his story of catching a cab in Sydney, and the taxi driver recognised him and proceeded to berate him about the latest election results, how they had chosen the wrong candidate in his village, and how if they'd chosen another candidate, they might have won the seat. And as this politician, who remained nameless, got out of the cab, he said, "So how long have you been in this country?" And the taxi driver said, 30 years. So nothing that happens in Lebanon is unknown to Lebanese Australians. I think we have the best of both worlds. We have great Lebanese citizens of many generations and new generations. And of course we have a country in which opportunity has abounded. And the opportunity that abounds most of all is education. I'm proud to be the 43rd Premier of this state, and I'm proud that one of my predecessors, the 8th Premier of this state, Henry Parkes, introduced public education to give people in this city, in this state and eventually in this nation access to a certain level of education. I'm pleased to be here with Michael Spence at a university that was founded to give anyone who had merit a university education. You didn't have to belong to a particular class or a particular religion. If you had merit, you could succeed. And whilst, as the Vice-Chancellor tells me to stop saying, I didn't go to this university, I went to one in another territory, in the ACT, I know that the graduates of this university have added mightily to the development of this city and this state. So I'm pleased to be here tonight supporting the Federation. I'm pleased to be here tonight again supporting the Lebanese community of my state. But importantly, I'm here tonight to acknowledge the scholarships that are going to young Australians of Lebanese heritage. Young Australians of Lebanese heritage who will continue to develop their own potential. And as they succeed, as their families succeed, so too will our society succeed, and that's what makes me a very happy Premier. Thank you.
It's my privilege to invite Dr. Michael Spence, Vice-Chancellor of the University of Sydney, to give a speech in reply to the Premier. Thank you.
Premier, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I should start by clearing something up. It's a conversation that the Premier and I have had many times. You're forgiven, Premier. Everybody makes youthful mistakes. And the fact that you were foolish enough to choose the ANU over the University of Sydney is something that we no longer hold against you. And we don't hold it against him because the Premier has been a great supporter of this university, as he has been of education in New South Wales. He understands the spirit in which this university was founded. Do you know we were the first in the world for which there was not a religious or property test for admission, but admission was on the basis of academic merit alone. The founders of this state understood that this was going to be a place that was made up of communities drawn from all over the world, and that was going to be its extraordinary wealth. And yes, Mrs. Hindi, there may be regret at the loss of the Lebanon in this remarkable group of people, and yet there is great pride in New South Wales here at the tremendous contribution that the Lebanese community makes. That's something that our Premier understands, and that's something that his government, committed to fair access to education for all the people of New South Wales, has worked so hard to promote. The Lebanese community, of course, has a special place in our heart, not only because the ALF is the only foundation of the university that forms a particular bridge between a community in the state and the university, but also because our former Chancellor, the Governor, Professor Marie Bashir, was herself of Lebanese heritage. And so we feel that there is in that too another connection. Thank you, Premier, for your commitment to the university. Thank you for your commitment to the diversity of communities in New South Wales. Thank you for being here with us this evening. But most of all, thank you for getting it, for getting that this state has extraordinary potential and that its potential lies in the diversity of the communities that make it up. Thank you very much.
A man of Marcel Ghanem's reputation doesn't need an introduction, but he did arrange a rather colourful one, and I congratulate him. Please welcome Marcel.
يعني بعد هيك أجواء ما بعرف إذا تحولنا إلى مطربين بس إنه. Good evening, dear friends, Mr. Premier, dear friends of the Lebanese Australian Friendship Association, distinguished audience. Once again, I come back to you, this year, and I see among you many friends with whom I share the Lebanese concern and the Australian dream. I come back to carry the pain of my country and talk about the dream about a country you are reliving its bittersweet pictures here in the land down under because you never forgot about Lebanon. Here you are living a dream, the dream of living with dignity and luxury, the dream of achieving the dream in a country that welcomed you and became a shelter for you. While back in Lebanon, we are still dreaming of a country that realizes even the smallest of our dreams. Do you know what our dreams are? You sure know them. Some of you witnessed them while keeping up with the news from Lebanon or even during their visits to Lebanon every now and then. We dream of a country where the law rules, not the gangsters, bandits, or kidnappers. We dream of a country where the arms are only in the hands of the Lebanese army and not in those of so-called resistance or fanatics in the streets. Not in those of so-called resistance or fanatics in the streets. We dream of a country where no law is modified to suit some people. A country where the people are loyal to their country and not any other country. وعم نشوف هاليومين كيف ناطرين إذا في حدا بده يرد على إسرائيل لما إسرائيل قصفت على سوريا. معقول نحن عايشين هالهواجس هاليومين؟ We dream of a country where we achieve our ambitions about work, about hope, about joy, not the source of assassinations. We dream of 24/7 electricity, of good telecommunications, of advanced internet, of medical insurance that doesn't kill the patient at the doors of the hospitals. Is it too much to dream? Don't we deserve that? What about you, the Lebanese belonging to Australia? We know that you carry Lebanon in your hearts and want to get your identities and your roots back, and to have the right to choose your representative until your dreams for the mother's land become true. We know that you think about us, pray for us, and help us in every possible way. You have great responsibilities toward us. All we want from you is to exercise your right of belonging to your country in every possible way, starting with the registration and voting. With us here, Mr. Ziad Baroud, the first minister to insist on giving the immigrants their rights to vote, while he was at the head of the Ministry of Interior. His dream and yours. His dream and yours will definitely come true someday. Dear friends, we are here to say once again that the Lebanese, both immigrants and residents, are a wealth. So let's integrate. With integration, we try to rebuild a new Lebanon, a sovereign Lebanon, a free Lebanon, a Lebanon of cultural and political plurality, a non-sectarian Lebanon, the Lebanese Army Lebanon, the state of law Lebanon. And when we talk about integration, we talk about Australia. Australia that opened for you its land and skies. Embrace it with your love, loyalty, and belonging. Have two hearts, one here and another in Lebanon. God bless you. Long live Lebanon. Long live Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, allow me to introduce a remarkable man from my country, Lebanon, the brilliant and hard-working lawyer, the former Minister of Interior, my friend, Mr. Ziad Baroud. The podium is yours.
Well, it's very hard to speak after singing, and it's very hard to speak after my friend Marcel. Thank you for your kind words. Honorable Premier, Mr. Ambassador, Consul General, Professor, Vice Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, if it is this customary for Australian officials to be so charismatic, so convincing, and so passionate about in all their speeches, then there should be a show dedicated to to just watching you guys deliver speeches. Thank you for saying what you said. Thank you for saying what you said. If it's true that there is so much strength to Australia's diversity, however, the greatness, I believe, is in recognizing it. So thank you for uttering such encouraging and inspiring words. Dear Professor Hussein, and all those who contributed to this great initiative with the Australian Lebanese Foundation, thank you for your very warm welcome and for making all of this possible. It is a great honor to be here with you today in such a marvelous educational path. My gratitude goes to the University of Sydney and to the ALF efforts for actively supporting and encouraging young Australian Lebanese to expand their opportunities through higher education and supporting the building of functional linkages between the Lebanese University and the University of Sydney, as you do. The ALF has, since 2002, embraced a non-sectarian, meritocratic program of capacity building for the Lebanese Australian youth to strengthen their educational and career prospects. The premise is that with a consistent output of secular and responsive education policy, the Lebanese Australian youth would gain enough confidence and opportunities to contribute to strengthening the backbone of this great society. As much as you can contribute to building this great nation, you can also contribute to building the governance of your old motherland throughout of country voting. I have had the honor of working and implementing these legislative reforms during my 3-year term in the Lebanese government in 2 subsequent cabinets. According to the provisions of the electoral law of 2008, Lebanese expatriates living in different countries around the world are now entitled, in principle, to exercise their constitutional right to vote in their country of residence. In practice, however, the said right is still pending. The mechanisms to implement are still insufficient and complicated. Now, whether due to lack of efficient measures, a confusing registration procedure, or whatnot, of the 700,000 Lebanese expatriates who may be qualified to vote, only a small number registered before the end of last year's deadline for the elections that are supposedly scheduled to take place in June 2013. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the final number of expatriates registered to vote totaled 10,012. It is small, but you should be proud because the country with the highest number of Lebanese expatriates registered to vote is Australia, with 3,813. 3,813, followed by France with 1,057, the United States with 630, and the United Arab Emirates with 536. The Lebanese government is invited to undertake urgent measures to ensure a proficient enforcement of the law in this regard, knowing that expats bring in 30% of the country's GDP, and migration is one of the main effects of politics in Lebanon and deserve to be part of the governmental decision-making process. The initiative to get Lebanese expatriates voting is a meaningful step forward in electoral reform. Ask Marcel Ghanem, here present, he will tell you about the frustration of those he interviews abroad and their concerns and their eagerness to be heard. I cannot but concede that our institutional deadlock is not limited to out-of-country voting. The latter is only a sign of the impasse we are facing. Elections may not be held as scheduled. The turmoil in Syria is making things difficult to handle, and the need for a safety net is today a major concern and a high priority. Having said all that, it is wonderful to be in your company this evening. You give us hope and strength. Thank you once again for extending this generous opportunity for me and for my colleagues to be here amongst you. I hope we meet again one day in Beirut. Thank you.
This is the time that our young students have been waiting for, and we hope that we would also ask that the sponsors of these students might come forward as well. The people who are sponsoring, the folks we would ask to come forward are Dr. Rifi, Dr. Jamal Rifi, to represent World Trading. Yes, okay. And yes, and of course, we need the people who are going to make these presentations. We want, if Professor Hussain, Premier, if you would be prepared, and Vice Chancellor, if you would be prepared to come to the stage.
Just tell them that this is not mine.
Isn't it? Okay, I will. Okay. The Premier gives the Ladies and gentlemen, we have six young graduates. The first scholarship is a scholarship given by Australian World Trading, and Dr. Jamal Rifi is representing Australian World Trading today. And the student who has won this is Cassandra Abdallah. Cassandra is studying civil engineering and commerce, a modern young woman. The Bank of Sydney and Mr. Fawaz Sankari. Is he in? From the Bank of Sydney? No. Okay, with Jamal. Okay.
I represent him too.
Here he is. There he is. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay. The Bank of Sydney is a new bank today, and it is also, Fawaz Sankari is also a member of the Council of the Australian Lebanese Foundation. Mohammed Shamti is the winner of the Bank of Sydney Scholarship. Mohammed is studying civil engineering geotechnical, another modern man. Mr. Eddie Shaheen, are you available? The Caltex M4 Scholarship, and Mr. Eddie Shaheen is going to present the scholarship on behalf of Mr. John Ibrahim. The scholarship goes to Marianne Daher. Marianne is studying design in architecture. George, Mr. Hussain, are you available, please? The Hussain Group Scholarship is given to James L. Shami. James is studying medical science. Mr. John Simon has given a scholarship, and it's going to be presented by Mr. Philip Salem on his behalf. Rachel Khoury Hab is the winner of the scholarship. Rachel is studying pharmacy. And the last one is the Arab Bank of Australia. And is Mr. Joe Risk available, please? Mr. Risk has also been, from the Arab Bank, been the generous major sponsor of tonight's event. And so we are very grateful on many fronts, Joe. Thank you. The winner of the scholarship is Joe Wehby. Joe, do you want to announce the account that you're establishing?
Ladies and gentlemen, just an outstanding achievement award tonight. We're giving a prize of $500 to one of the students, and James El-Shami, an outstanding achievement, a quiet achiever, they tell me. But well done, James, if you want to come up here.
Thank you very much.
Can I just say one word? The bank is always proud on an event like this, and I got back this evening from our region. At 7:30 I landed, and I can tell you that the enthusiasm and the pride of our community here and overseas is always one of a positive nature. And Marcel tonight spoke about embracing this country. What better way is it that we should embrace this country than through our children? Congratulations and well done. Thank you.